Hey dissectors, welcome back for another episode about what lurks in the shadows. If you're new to Darkness Dissected, thanks for joining us. We're a channel that explores the stories behind the many haunted places around the world and the ghosts that call them home. Today we're going to look at the Moon River Brewing Company, a place where angry spirits linger on every floor. The building was built way back in 1821, situated in Savannah, Georgia, which was called one of the most haunted cities in America in 2003 by the American Institute of Paranormal Psychology. It was used as the city hotel, but closed its doors on this business in 1864. Over the years, it has witnessed many disturbing incidents, from murder to deaths from yellow fever that claimed the lives of many. On the upper floors of the building, hundreds of victims, many of them being children, succumbed to the horrific illness, and the sounds of long-dead children are heard to this day. In more recent years, though, the property has been used as a storage facility and remained vacant for over 20 years until being purchased finally in 1995 and eventually opening for business as Moon River Brewing Company. Now, what causes a place to become haunted? Many ghost hunters believe that when someone dies from a violent death or have unfinished business, it can cause a spirit to linger on. It's not surprising that Moon River Brewing Company has many restless spirits then, as plenty of violent activity has occurred here over the years. In 1832, Dr. Philip Minus was trying his best to enjoy a drink with a friend when the local troublemaker James Stark, a known drunk, decided to make it his business to be rude to the doctor. Now, Stark was greatly disliked throughout the area, with a reputation for insulting people, gambling and causing problems. So when the doctor shot him after claiming he'd seen Stark go for his gun after their altercation, no one seemed bothered if the doctor was telling the truth or not. Hell, in their minds, they believed good riddance, and the doctor did everyone a huge favour. Besides, no one wanted another drunk, whereas the town doctor was someone the locals all needed. Maybe Stark was unlikable in life, but his death going unpunished would certainly be enough to make him a vengeful spirit. His ghost has been seen wandering the main floor of the building with claims of violent behaviour towards staff and visitors. People have experienced being grabbed at, pushed, hit, and bottles of liquor being thrown at them. Now, this sounds very horrible and must be quite alarming to experience, but surprisingly, this is not the biggest act of violence to have happened on the land, as that happened in 1860. Now, even though the Civil War had not yet happened, there was incredible unrest and hatred for Yankees in Georgia. One such man was called James Sinclair and was visiting the area looking for work. He had decided to stay at the City Hotel for the night, which was news that didn't go down well with the locals. In fact, they were murderous over it. After trying to pressure him to leave on his own accord, a mob is said to have formed outside the hotel. They barged their way onto the premises and physically dragged the poor man onto the street, stripping and then beating him to the point of death. Thankfully, the man survived, but again, this is the sort of event that leaves residual emotions behind, like anger and hatred, to maybe cast echoes from the past to the present day. One ghost is said to linger a lot in the basement and affectionately called Toby by the staff. He has been witnessed roaming around the billiards room and pushing those that get too close to him. Guests have also experienced drastic changes in temperature, the feeling of being touched although no one is there, and bottles falling or being thrown across the room. Now, this has been reported by visitors and staff alike. One such visitor left the area in a total panic as the entire right side of her body suddenly became freezing cold. She also reported hearing voices that were close by but muffled enough that their words were lost, and she's not the only one to have experienced this. Many women who have used the restroom while dining at the brewing company have complained about a very unnerving supernatural interaction. It seems that often when you finish using the toilet, you can't open the door as an invisible force is pushing the door closed. Now, no amount of pushing or pulling frees the door, and you often have to scream something like, "Let me out," for the mischievous entity to release its grasp. One waitress was talking with a customer about an experience and explained, "Yeah, you're not the first to have that happen to them. The ghosts like to hang out in the women's restroom for some reason." Is it just me, or does that sound quite pervy? As well as severe temperature drops in the restaurant, people have experienced a ghost grabbing at their legs from underneath the table. Now, as if this is not alarming enough, visitors have said they actually feel a hand gripping them and not just a pressure. Now, further inside the building on the 3rd floor, there have been many reports of a full-bodied apparition of a woman in white, referred to as Mrs. Johnson. It's believed that she used to work at the hotel in the late 1800s and decided never to leave. It looks like she looks after all the children who died from yellow fever that are heard talking, running and playing in the hallways. Maybe Mrs. Johnson stayed to be a motherly figure for them in the afterlife. But this area has also experienced even more violent hauntings. In the 1990s, there was construction work taking place and the foreman's wife came by for a visit. When she decided to leave, she was shoved so hard down the stairs that it was clear it was not accidental. Someone or something had pushed her. As you can well imagine, the foreman was devastated about his wife's accident and subsequent injuries and handed in his resignation there and then. But it seems that this is not the first time that any kind of building work has come to an end. The ghostly entities have caused problems time and again, resulting in the top floor remaining like a decaying building site. So do the most aggressive of Moon River Brewing Company's ghosts hang out in the upper floors? Maybe, as this part of the building was used as a makeshift hospital back in the day, and people have described a dark energy surrounding it, with feelings of fear, hopelessness, and suffering experienced in their final moments of life. It's hardly surprising souls were left confused and unable to move on. If you're interested in visiting this historic building, they offer ghost tours and a chance to hear firsthand the many paranormal stories experienced by staff and guests. You can also enjoy fantastic drink and food while you relax or try to calm your nerves.